Hey everybody, Brent and Matthew Fairburn here from Syracuse.com, NYUp.com. We're talking about the 2018 NFL Draft, and we're doing everybody's favorite thing, Matt. It's mock draft time. Now, I think we're all under the assumption that there's going to be some trades in this draft, no question about it. But we're just going to go through the first 12 picks, assuming the Bills stay at 12, and then we'll hop over to number 22. And it starts at the top with the Cleveland Browns. I think we all assume, and it's tough to assume with the Browns, Matt, but you got to go quarterback at 1. Will it be Sam Darnold? Will it be Josh Allen? Let's start right there.
Yeah, I think this pick has to be a quarterback. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you've been waiting long enough to find a franchise passer. I'm going to go with Josh Allen, the quarterback out of Wyoming. Sam Darnold's been sort of the presumed favorite, but Josh Allen is making a late run, and he's a big arm, a big body, and seems like John Dorsey's type at the position. He drafted the biggest arm in the draft last year in Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And let's face it, Josh Allen going number 1 makes the rest of the draft a lot more fun. So let's put him there to the Browns.
So if I'm the New York Giants, I love to hear that Sam Darnold's come down to number 2. There's a lot of speculation that the Giants won't take a quarterback unless it's Sam Darnold. So is that who you have going to the New York Giants?
Yeah, I think Sam Darnold has to be the pick. If he's sitting there at number 2, the Giants would be wise to take him. Eli Manning's 37 years old, and Sam Darnold's, presumed by most to be the top quarterback in this draft. So if he falls to number 2, I'm sure the Giants' phone is going to be ringing off the hook with trade offers. But if they sit there, I think he makes a lot of sense for them with the second pick.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills certainly going to be interested in moving up to that second pick to get a quarterback. But if the Giants stay there, take Darnold. Now we got the Jets at number 3. It's going to be very busy in East Rutherford here. Remember, the Jets already made this trade to get up to 3. Is this Josh Rosen time with the third pick, Matt?
I'm actually going to go with Baker Mayfield here, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. For a while, it looked like they preferred the other quarterbacks, but lately some of the reporters in New York are sort of insinuating that Baker Mayfield is their guy. I think they traded up with a few quarterbacks in mind, and with quarterbacks going 1 and 2, they get their third pick, presumably. So Baker Mayfield, I think he fits in with the big lights in New York City. He's a guy that loves to play in prime time, and I think they'll roll the dice with the Heisman Trophy winner.
Now here we are at the Cleveland Browns once again with the 4th overall pick. If they stay here, Matt, and they don't trade out Saquon Barkley, it's going to be very tempting for John Dorsey here. A lot of people feel he's the best player in the entire draft.
Yeah, the Browns are in a great spot because if quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, the Browns get to pick their top quarterback and their top non-quarterback. I'm actually going to go with Bradley Chubb, the defensive end out of NC State. The Browns get even stronger up front. I just don't know if the value of a running back in the top 5 makes a lot of sense for them. So I think, getting a franchise player at defensive end as well as a quarterback, kind of a dream scenario for Cleveland.
I think the Denver Broncos are really looking for defense there at 5. So if Bradley Chubb goes 4 to Cleveland, does John Elway, if he stays here at 5, go defense? Or does he take Barkley because he's the best player on the board?
It's interesting because the Broncos could go a number of different directions, and they're another team that would become, really interesting in trade scenarios.
Definitely.
Especially if the board falls like this. They could be in play for a quarterback. They could be in play for defense, as you mentioned. Saquon Barkley could be an option, considering they just cut C.J. Anderson. So a lot of different options. I'm going to go with Quentin Nelson, the guard out of Notre Dame. He looks like arguably the best player in this draft, regardless of position. And the Broncos finally get to fix that offensive line for Case Keenum. I think that makes a lot of sense for them at number 5.
So here we are at the 6th overall pick, and it's a team that's already traded the Indianapolis Colts. So assuming they don't do that again, Matt, what do you think is their best position here with the 6th overall pick?
They're another team that has so many options because they don't need a quarterback. So they're not going to be forced into picking a position, that maybe doesn't fit the value. So sitting there at 6, I think this is a good spot for Saquon Barkley to come off the board. Get Andrew Luck some more help in the running game. Frank Gore getting up there in age, so I think, this is a spot for them where, that running game kind of needs some life, and Saquon Barkley can add a whole new dimension to that offense.
What an advantage there for the Colts sitting there at 6 if they can get Barkley. At the 7th overall pick, you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, the Buccaneers need some help on defense, kind of all over the place, but Minkah Fitzpatrick, the defensive back from Alabama, makes some sense for them just because they can move him around the secondary, play him at a few different spots, and find out where he can impact their defense the best. And let's face it, he's a great value there at number 7.
Last year, the Chicago Bears, with the second overall pick, took Mitchell Trubisky out of North Carolina, and here they are in the top 10 once again, given how our mock draft has gone so far. Do the Bears look to trade, or what's the best player available for them in this spot?
Yeah, I think another team that would make a lot of sense in a trade here, especially with Josh Rosen still sitting on the board. A lot of these teams from 5 to 10 don't really need quarterbacks. So I think if they stay there, Denzel Ward from Ohio State makes a ton of sense. I mean, they're looking to upgrade that defense, especially in the secondary, and Denzel Ward looks like the best outside cornerback in this draft.
So now you got San Francisco here at the 9th overall pick, Matt, a team a lot of people think is on the rise in the NFL. They got their quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo last season. What's their best slot here?
Well, with everything going on with Reuben Foster, linebacker is a need again. And Tremaine Edmonds is a guy that can move around the defense, the linebacker out of Virginia Tech. He can really do a lot to cause some problems. And I think that's the area that they need to look at because they can't count on Reuben Foster to be a part of their team anymore. So to get another impact linebacker would be a great steal for them at number 9.
So we stay in the Bay Area for the 10th pick, and one team that's really helped themselves in the draft recently is the Oakland Raiders. But John Gruden takes over for this squad, Matt, and we're all wondering what he's going to do with that 10th overall pick.
Yeah, let's continue the run on linebackers. Roquan Smith out of Georgia, old school player, can really, bring the lumber on those hits and, kind of change the attitude of the middle of that defense. Have a guy that can play along with Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin. I think he fits the personality and sort of the attitude that John Gruden's trying to bring into Oakland, and he's a great value at the number 10 pick.
Now, earlier you had the New York Jets take Baker Mayfield at number 3. I think the Miami Dolphins with the 11th pick are not going to be happy to hear that because I think they really want Baker. If they don't trade out of this 11th spot, we got the Bills coming up next, but what do their division rivals do at 11?
Yeah, this is another really interesting spot, especially if Josh Rosen is still on the board. How far does he fall, and do they let him slide to the Bills at number 12? I think they go Derwin James, the safety out of Florida State. Another one of those players who can do a lot for you on defense. You can play him at linebacker, play him at safety, throw him outside at cornerback. A guy that could really change the way the Dolphins play defense. I think if Baker Mayfield's off the board, they go to the defensive side.
All right, here we are at the Buffalo Bills. Now, we know they're going to try and trade up, but if they have to stay at the 12th overall pick. Matt, let's go over what you think the Bills will do here at 12, and then we'll skip ahead a little bit and go to 22 and see what the Bills do there.
This would be an absolute dream scenario for the Bills, Brent. I mean, to not have to give up draft picks to get into the top 5, stay there at number 12, and Josh Rosen from UCLA is still on the board. I think Josh Rosen's the best quarterback in this draft, but he's also the one that could be most likely to fall just because of some of the questions surrounding him. Some people question his attitude and different things like that. He also suffered some injuries last year at UCLA. If he's sitting there at 12, Brandon Beane should be sprinting from Orchard Park down to Dallas to get that card up to the podium because it would just be too good of a fit in terms of what they do on offense and what they need. He could be truly a franchise passer that they've wanted for so long.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Matt. Like, everybody assumes that Brandon Beane's going to try and trade up, but this is how the draft can go sometimes. If Josh Rosen falls to you at 12, you said it. You sprint to that podium and you grab a quarterback like this. So in this scenario, they've got their quarterback. We're going to skip ahead to 10 picks here, assuming the Bills stay there and don't trade away, that 12th and 22nd pick or the 22nd pick individually. So if they stay here in the first round and take 2 players, who could be there at 22 for the Bills?
Yeah, if they get to keep pick 22, I mean, that's perfect for them because I think a linebacker like Leighton Vander Esch out of Boise State is the ideal fit for this defense. People, talk a lot about the quarterback position, and rightfully so in Buffalo because that's the number one priority. But they don't have a middle linebacker on the roster right now either because Preston Brown left in free agency, and they badly need a guy to play Mike linebacker in the middle of that defense. Leighton Vander Esch had a breakout season for Boise State, really blew up at the combine. He might not even be on the board at 22, but if he is, it's another perfect fit. If the Bills came out of the first round with Josh Rosen and Leighton Vander Esch,
they'd be thrilled.
That would be perfect.
They'd be thrilled with
that. It would
that.
be the ideal scenario for the Bills.
Yeah, quarterback's important, but linebacker may be more important for the Bills in this draft. For Matthew Fairburn, I'm Brent Axe. That's our mock draft here, Syracuse.com and NYUp.com.